friends. Just wanted to share with you today the story about my son John, who was just the brightest little guy you could ever meet. We just knew he was so smart. And then he went to the traditional school setting, and his struggles began, and all of a sudden he started losing confidence, and we knew there were issues, but we didn't know where to turn, and that's where our journey began, to find the right school setting where he could achieve his potential. We knew John that was really bright even from an early age. Even at the age of 2 and 3, he loved to look at books, he loved to be read to, he was curious, he would ask great, insightful questions. He understood concepts. There were issues though, there were little quirks that I didn't have with his older sister that, made you wonder, well, is there something different here? He was very sensitive to noise, very sensitive to chaos. One of his first real phrases that he used was "go home." We'd be out in a hectic, chaotic environment, and he would say, "Go home, go home." He was uncoordinated. He didn't have a good sense of balance. So there were just the little things that made us think, this is a little different, but we didn't really think much about it. When John arrived in kindergarten, we knew that there were issues, and then by the time first grade started, he was coming home and saying, "Mommy, I'm not a very smart boy." In the first grade, he could barely write. He was in the lowest reading group in his class, and so we knew that there were some issues going on there. I knew at that time we had to do something, and so we asked for him to be tested by the school system, and we were told it would take 3 to 4 months because of the backlog. So we went ahead and had him tested privately. So the testing confirmed what we already knew. John was a very intelligent little boy with a lot of potential. And that's what made it even more frustrating when we did years of the typical dyslexic intervention and we didn't see a lot of gains. And it was also frustrating because we were hearing that they were going to help, this therapy would help John cope with dyslexia, to learn tools to cope with it. No one ever spoke of him actually being able to overcome his dyslexia and reach his full potential. And so that was really our frustration, is that we were spending so much time, John was giving so much energy and just giving all of everything he could to this therapy, and we were seeing very little gain, and we were also given very little hope on what the future would hold for him. And over those next 3 years, he went through 3 different schools. He went through 2 years of intensive, traditional, phonological therapy with a licensed and very competent reading specialist. We spent over $30,000 in private school tuition and tutoring and testing, and we saw very little results. So here we were. John was, we were looking at 5th grade for John. He'd been in 3 different schools, and we'd spent a lot of money, and really just all the approaches that we had tried, we didn't see huge gains. It didn't make sense as far as what the things that we were doing to try to help him overcome his learning differences. We were even considering at this point to put him back in public school with accommodations. And to me, that almost felt like giving up, like just settling on that John would just have to learn to cope with dyslexia. And it was at this point that we went to the curriculum fair, and I heard Jan Bedell and the Little Giant Steps neurodevelopmental approach to learning differences. And it was through this when Jan explained that they look at the brain, and they actually treat the learning differences at the root cause. And all of a sudden it made sense that this was something that truly could help John overcome his learning differences, and I knew we had hope for the future. Let me tell you about the results we've seen. We started Little Giant Steps in October of 2008, and we've been on the program about 16 months. Within that time period, we have just seen amazing results. Within the first 4 months, John went up 2 grade levels in reading comprehension. And then over the next year, he went up another 2 grade levels. So he went up 4 grade levels in reading comprehension in less than 16 months. And then also in word recognition, over that same time period, he went up almost 4 grade levels in that also. But even beyond that, he has improved dramatically in like his vision and his auditory processing. He no longer runs through the punctuation marks at the end of sentences. He is able to grasp and remember like math facts and things that we've learned so much more effectively. He is reading with such greater ease and confidence. And it truly was only by the grace of God that I walked into a homeschool fair just a little less than 2 years ago, and I found Jan Bedell in Little Giant Steps. And that has been the hope that has let us know that John can reach his full potential, and he can not only just learn to cope with dyslexia, but he can overcome it and be what he's supposed to be. So as a mom, I just want to encourage you, as the parent of a child with learning disabilities, you're just going to have to be their advocate. You have to get out there. You have to be educated. You have to know what the newest and best technology and approaches are out there to help your child. Just as a final note of encouragement, after our last evaluation, John was so excited. The minute his dad got home that night, he ran up to him and he said, "Guess what, Dad? I don't have dyslexia anymore." So I just want to encourage you that there is hope out there and that your child can reach his full potential too.